Given the recent news about NHL players like James Reimer and the Stahl brothers releasing statements about how they refused to participate in warm-ups during Pride Night, it got me thinking about what other scandals and controversies has the NHL seen in the past. Off the top of my head, it felt like as though the NHL hasn't had that many, but I did some research and after digging around, turns out they've seen plenty. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the NHL's biggest scandal. Rick Tocchet. The former Stanley Cup champion Rick Tocchet was an assistant coach for the Phoenix Coyotes when it was found that he ran an illegal gambling ring in New Jersey. Immediately, people began speculating if Coyotes coach at the time, NHL legend Wayne Gretzky, was involved in the ring at all. Gretzky denied allegations, but it was later revealed that his wife Janet had placed bets. Investigations were ran to see if Wayne Gretzky had placed bets through his wife, but no evidence was found. Tocchet received 2 years probation and shut down the ring. He returned to coaching in the 2008-2009 season as head coach of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, compared to the other scandals on this list, this seems pretty minor, but the fact that Gretzky's name is involved makes it way more interesting and makes you think who else could have been involved but were lucky enough to fly under the radar. The Chicago Blackhawks. The Blackhawks sexual abuse scandal shook the NHL to its core. The results of an independent investigation led to resignations both within the organization, most notably general manager Stan Bowman, and from others like Florida Panthers head coach Joel Quenneville, who had been Chicago's head coach in 2010. The probe revealed Blackhawks management failed to act promptly after learning about allegations of sexually inappropriate behavior toward a player during the team's playoff run that year. Kyle Beach, a player who was referred to but not named in the investigation, later revealed himself as the John Doe from the lawsuit he filed against the team in May. Beach said in the lawsuit that then video coach Brad Ulrich sexually assaulted him and another player in 2010 and that the team covered it up. Beach's courageous decision to come forward and the fallout from the independent inquiry forced the NHL to act, but the league did little to address the matter. Commissioner Gary Bettman held a video call with Beach during which the ex-player questioned the league's handling of his allegations. Bettman and his deputy commissioner Bill Daly held a press conference to discuss the NHL's response, but were criticized for not taking more responsibility and ignoring TSN's Rick Westhead, whose reporting on the story was the most consequential, until other media members called them out on his behalf. In December, less than a week before Beach and the Blackhawks reached a confidential settlement, the league extended its commitment to inclusion, diversity, safety, and respect, which included mandatory training sessions for all team personnel. The Montreal Canadiens draft Logan Mailloux. Most of the hockey world was shocked when the Montreal Canadiens selected Logan Mailloux in the NHL draft. The Canadiens chose the London Knights defenseman with the 31st pick, despite the fact that he had asked for his name to be withdrawn from consideration 3 days earlier. Mailloux made the request in light of being fined for invasion of privacy and defamation in 2020 after taking an offensive photo of a woman without her consent during a sexual encounter and distributing it. Commissioner Gary Bettman didn't hold back when asked about Montreal's decision to draft Mailloux, saying he was stunned and what the player did was horrific. Some called the Canadiens to renounce the pick, and even Canadian Prime Minister and lifelong Habs fan Justin Trudeau voiced his concern, saying he was deeply disappointed with the club. The OHL suspended Mailloux indefinitely, but ultimately reinstated him, citing the fact that the 18-year-old had taken part in therapy and counseling since being temporarily banned. Billy Tibbets. This enforcer from the early 2000s was called up to the Pittsburgh Penguins in 2001 after scoring 38 points in 38 games in the AHL. Now, of course, success in the AHL doesn't always equal success in the NHL, and he never did much for the Penguins, besides sucker punching an opponent in a game against the Atlanta Thrashers where Tibbets threw a punch at Darcy Hordachuk, who wasn't even on the ice at the time. He was actually on the bench. The NHL did suspend Tibbets for that play, but that is not why we included him in this video. He is in this video for way worse of a reason. In 1994, Tibbets was charged with rape based on a 1992 interaction between a 17-year-old Tibbets and a 15-year-old girl that the convicting judge called brutal in nature. Following this, he was arrested again for assault and battery with a BB gun, disorderly conduct, and witness intimidation. Overall, Tibbets served 39 months in prison. Fortunately for him, after paying his dues in prison, he was given a second chance and was able to make a short NHL career out of it. An interesting twist to Tippett's story is that he was not able to play any games in Canada because of his status as a sex offender in the country. After a short stint with the New York Rangers in 2003, Tibbetts has gone on to play for the ECHL San Diego Gulls, Las Vegas Wranglers, and the Idaho Steelheads, along with a variety of European teams. Now, I guess this was early 2000s when they let him back in, but I do not understand how they can let someone with this type of a charge back into the league, especially when this is what he's doing now.
Wake the Situate Police, Kerry Smith, Gil Martin, all those other people involved set me up and framed me for rape.
The Arizona Coyotes. The Arizona Coyotes' uncertain future is usually what keeps the team in the headlines, and several scandals ensured that once again. In February of 2021, the club came under fire following a report detailing financial and interpersonal issues within the organization. In August of 2021, the city of Glendale told the Coyotes it wouldn't renew the operating agreement for the Gila River Arena, meaning the 2021-22 season would be the club's last in the facility. The Coyotes then filed a bid for a new arena in nearby Tempe. But the situation involving their current home escalated further a few months later. On December 9, 2021, Glendale threatened to lock out the team if their debt of more than $1 million in unpaid taxes and fees wasn't resolved within the next 11 days. The Coyotes blamed human error and said the next day that they'd pay up in full. However, multiple reports that released later after that contradicted that claim. The Coyotes now play in Arizona State University's Mullet Arena, which is much smaller than a typical NHL-sized arena. It's only a matter of time before we find out if the Coyotes can actually manage to pay their bills this time around. Mike Danton. This may be one of the most bizarre and disturbing stories in NHL history, and is a great example of why the hockey world really needs to carefully examine junior hockey head coaches and agents. Mike Danton was a rising star as a junior. Unfortunately, he was playing for David Frost, who took obsessive control over Danton's life and eventually made him become estranged from his family. Danton's original last name was Jefferson, but he changed it so he can officially separate himself from his family. Frost, his head coach, had convinced him to do this. After the 2003-2004 playoffs, where Danton was playing with the St. Louis Blues, it was revealed that Danton was attempting to hire a hitman to murder David Frost, and Danton was arrested. A week after the arrest, a taped phone call between Frost and Danton was found. Frost was giving Danton directions on how to handle the court process. The most bizarre part of this call was Frost forcing Danton to tell him, "I love you." Frost had taken complete control over Danton's career, but Danton wasn't the only person he tried to get close to. He was charged with 12 counts of sexual exploitation with 3 girls and 4 boys between the ages of 14 and 16. Danton now denies that he was trying to kill Frost. He instead says he was trying to kill his father, Steve Jefferson, because he was abused when he was growing up. This is probably one of the strangest stories ever, and whatever the truth is here, it's clear that Danton had a difficult upbringing, and it shows that people really need to know what they're putting their kids into and who they're going to be around all the time. Thanks for watching our videos. Don't forget to leave a like, and if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button.